Now there are two types of people in this world. There are the low light haters, and you got the low light lovers supreme. This is the F2 or better squad, which is all about the long exposure. But luckily for you, I've been on both sides of the coin. And up until recently, I shot in the dark all the time. I didn't even believe in lights. I didn't shoot with lights because I didn't own any lights. I looked at my fellow creators, theirs looked like this, and mine looked like this.
I feel y'all judging me like real hard right now. Everyone has a starting point, bro.
But being born in the dark. Batman reference?
I was born in it.
All right, cool. Anyway, it taught me a lot, and so today I'm here to shed some light. See what I did there? Now, just a quick disclaimer for you guys. This type of shooting takes a lot more experience because shooting in these conditions means higher ISOs, which means dirtier images, as well as lower shutter speeds, more areas for motion blur, as well as your autofocus may screw up. And I'm here to show you what I learned about all of this garbage. Now, let me squash this debate for everyone right here, right now. The camera gear matters, like, a lot. Now I know you've heard YouTubers say that, hey man, just use whatever gear you got, and then they show you this dope picture or this dope video that they just took with that equipment, and they say, yeah, no excuses. But don't you find it interesting that in the next video, they're using their $5,000 camera all over again, as well as their $1,200 f1.2 lens? Coincidence? I think not. Now, we all know camera bodies is what brings in the noise, okay? So how are you supposed to get rid of this? We'll talk about editing later, but honestly, the camera body has a lot to do with it. Think of it this way. I started with the Canon T4i. I was shooting at ISO 800 and the image was just done. But then I got into a Sony a7S III, put that bad boy to 12,800 and it was clean as a whistle. So what gives? The camera body matters, unfortunately. Can you use cheap gear? Yes, you can, but you're gonna be struggling in all these different situations. You may need to bring lights, or you may need to bring a tripod, or different things just to be able to get what another camera can do by itself. You see what I mean? Convenience. Let's talk about lenses. Now, f2.8 is not enough to shoot in low light. New guy? All right, maybe I'm being a little bit extreme. f2.8 can get you by, but the best way that I can go about this is by talking to you as if you're just a friend of mine. Now, bro, I've done a lot of night shoots, low light stuff. 90% of that stuff is shot with an f1.8 lens or lower. The other 10% of the time is with the lens that is f2.8, but even then, I feel like I'm just forcing it, and even my camera is getting a little bit grainy. Only shoot in low light with f2.8 if you absolutely have to, but you need to get yourself some fast glass. Do you think that it's a coincidence with all these low light, lightsaber, long exposure, street ninja bro shooters are shooting on Sony? Yeah, no, it's because Sonys are low light killers. You don't see any Nikon shooters out there, do you? Nah, I'm kidding. They just don't get invited to the shoots. Now, I know fast lenses are expensive, but don't worry, this is where Uncle Joe got your back. Viltrox 24mm f1.8, coming in at $400 and some change, bro. Now, typically you get trash quality from cheaper lenses, but in this case, it's actually surprisingly good. It's sharp. I haven't had any issues with the autofocus. Now, the only thing I will say about this lens is that the minimal focus distance is a little bit less than I'd like it to be. Have you seen those photos where you see something really close to the lens and it's really big and distorted and exaggerated and it looks really cool? Yeah, that's done when you have a less minimal focus distance. With this, unfortunately, you won't be able to because of that. And the last thing I have to say about this is it's a little bit of an awkward focal length to be f1.8. The majority of the time when you're shooting wide, you're doing that so you can get everything in focus, so you can see everything that's going on. So why would you be shooting at f1.8 anyway? Aside from all those little quirks that I mentioned to you, Viltrox killed it with this lens. They sent it out to me. I am not getting paid to say anything about it. It does the job. And actually, I want to try out their 85mm. Now, this next point is probably the most important one. So tell someone to hold your poodle, hold your coffee, hold whatever is necessary, because you need to write this down.
Nah, yo, hold my poodle. Hold my poodle.
Low light does not mean no light. It means low light. That means that when you find yourself in a dark place and you don't know what to do and you're feeling alone, you need to look for light.
Ooh, that's a real, bud.
That's
a bar.
I mean it though, like if you're pushing your ISO and your camera like way too hard and you still can't really see what's going on in that image, then just let it go, bro. Look for light, look for another location, and then try again. Now, what good is a banger if it's a noisy image, right?
That's another bar.
On a roll. Are you not entertained? Bro, I just hit you with the Gladiator reference. Come on now. Oh, dude. Quit playing around. Exposing for low light is very different than regular exposure. I had a conversation with Daniel Schiffer about a year or so ago, and he said something that really stuck to me. He said, when you shoot in low light, don't try and see in the dark. And that has always stuck with me, so let me break it down. What he means is that the image is going to be underexposed. You look at that little dial on the bottom, it's going to be underexposed. Obviously, it's going to look darker. Right now, I'm shooting at ISO 2000, and right now, it says that I am 1.7 overexposed. I don't know about you, but I'm not even overexposed. I would say I'm underexposed. So you really need to use your eye. If you need to get some kind of tip, I suggest shooting anywhere from -1 to -1.7 of exposure when you're shooting in low light. Hey, you see that? It's like you just leveled up, right? Like you got a one. Man, dude, y'all suck sometimes. But the best advice I can give is to really use your eye, all right? Now, whenever it comes to exposing for low light, you want to be able to create contrast between your subject and whatever background there is. Typically, when you shoot well-lit stuff, the subject is the brightest part of the image, right? Well, in low light, it's not that way. I think one of the best examples is like silhouettes. Silhouettes look really cool, but if you try and do a silhouette and expose properly, you just have like a subject in a white background. It's gonna look like trash. So in the event of silhouettes, make sure to expose for the highlights of the image because the subject is gonna be dark anyway when you bring it into post. By the way, I'm trying to keep the pace of this video rolling because according to the stats, y'all got the attention span of some 5-year-olds. And that means that if you are interested in real life practical shooting, low light shooting, and editing, drop a comment down below or send me a DM on Instagram so I can know exactly what you need help with. And be as specific as you can, please. Now, are you ready to meet your best friend? No, not me, fool. I'm talking about long exposures. Now, if you want to shoot low light, this is going to be your best friend, okay? There are plenty of tutorials on this long exposure stuff. Go watch Hayden's or Mike's. Short and sweet, drop your ISO as low as it goes, f-stop relatively high, f11, f12, and then drop your shutter speed as low as it goes until it's properly exposed. There you go. Technically, I just made a tutorial in like 16 seconds. Long exposure are gonna be your best friend because even if you have a cheaper camera or a camera that doesn't do as well in low light, you can actually get away with having a very clean image because your ISO is gonna be so low, and ISO is what makes a difference. So if you take anything away from this video, long exposures, meet him, get to know him, he's your best friend, get good at it. Cool, cheers. Now, if you have any experience while shooting in low light, sorry, bud, just want to sit down with you. You will quickly learn that your autofocus is gonna suck for some reason because it has nothing to pull contrast from, so we can't really pull focus. One of the things that you gotta do is change your button on one of your cameras to have a manual focus and an autofocus toggle mode so you can go back and forth between them. That's only if your autofocus isn't working, but when you do long exposures, you should probably be shooting manual focus anyway. And until you get more experience with this, I suggest you shoot things that just don't move, like cars or buildings or streets or whatever. When you bring movement into the picture, they're gonna have to stand really still or you're gonna have to bring up your shutter speed. Like it's a little bit more finesse. So shoot things that are still, have a manual focus and autofocus toggle button. Yeah, pull focus and just shoot that bad boy. Now this should be understood, but I gotta say it. Make sure that if you're shooting photo, you better be shooting raw. Don't shoot JPEG, bro. That's what wusses do. We don't do that, not here. And if you're shooting video, you need to shoot something that has the highest resolution or something that has the highest megabytes rate. Just look at your camera, you'll know what I'm talking about. The more information, the better that image is going to come out. So even though I know it is so tempting to shoot slow motion and low light, you're probably gonna struggle if your camera can't do it. So I suggest 4K at 24 or whatever the highest resolution and the highest bit rate can be. I know it sounds so simple, but after shooting in the dark for so long, I'm really handing you gold, in my opinion. Fun fact, I originally had planned to even go into the editing side of stuff, but I realized that this video is getting way too long. So if you are interested in the editing side of low light stuff, feel free to let me know, drop down in the comments, DM me, whatever. So guys, I gave you multiple tips of stuff that has helped me and I hope it helps you, but I'm just gonna ask one thing from you guys. If you can, please drop a comment or DM me, whatever you prefer. Tell me what you're truly struggling with, because the more that I get to know you, the better content I can make for you. Yeah, I think that's it. Man, this feels kind of good. We back, baby. Let's go.